Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Serious Yahoos, a podcast about Australian films, watching films that are unknown, unseen, unheard of, or films we just want to see because we haven't seen them before. Today I have with me Toasty.
What's up?
Julia.
Hello.
And Harry.
Hey.
Welcome everybody. I think we've got some decent films to watch today, so we'll start with Look Both Ways from 2005, directed by Sarah Watt, starring William McGuinness, Justine Clarke and Anthony Hayes. This one has an IMDb rating of 7.0 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes audience rating of 75%, which I think might be the highest we've come across on Serious Yahoo. So I have high hopes for that. But Toasty, I'll get you to read the back of the box for me.
Thank you, sir. Well, I'm going to read the front first. It's called Look Both Ways, and both actors on the front have some very serious expressions. One is running, and they have some 5 stars, genuinely gripping and fearlessly funny. And that's from Empire. All right. Unfortunately, the back of the box has no blurb. Oh, yes, it does. Meryl imagines disaster coming from every direction. Train crashes, man-eating sharks, baby-eating killer whales, and then there's Nick. That's all we got. And some little ferns that mean it's got awards.
There are a lot of laurels on this box.
Hella laurels.
So many.
Hella.
And there's a sticker that says, what does it say? Iconic Australian films, is that what it says?
Yeah, and it won many awards. I remember watching it when I was 15 and writing an English essay on it. So when it gets to English essay status, like that's looking for Alibrandi status, that's Australian film status. So we hope that it holds up.
So have you seen this since you were 15, or was that the last time you saw it?
I saw it after that, but probably around the 2005/2007 era was the last time I ever saw this.
Okay, so about 10 years at least.
But it stuck in my mind. I remember scenes from it and have talked about it since, separately from this podcast.
Right,
yes.
okay. And looking at the box, Harry and Julia, what are our expectations here? What are we expecting to see?
I'm not 100% sure what I'm really expecting. The cover and the blurb have both been relatively nondescript. I do like the hazard sign on the front depicting the title and also a large shark and a train. So I think it's possibly foretelling to something that could be quite interesting. Maybe a few seemingly disconnected events might find themselves all wrapped up in a single string.
Like things happening to various characters separately, then all tied together at the end.
One of those beautiful adventures.
A bit like, the first one that comes to mind is, say, Magnolia. Not seen that one? That Paul Thomas Anderson film.
I think we've covered this, Judd. I don't watch movies.
That's right.
Outside of this podcast, I am kept in a small, dark room.
But I'm sure others listening to this will know what I'm talking about.
I've seen it.
You've seen this film or Magnolia?
Magnolia.
All right.
So
I was going to say, well, that's, swapping it out was,
How do you feel about this one, Harry? What are you expecting?
I'm expecting some high drama. I'm seeing a man in the upper left-hand side running with an extremely determined look on his face.
He does look like he's got somewhere to be.
Yeah, like 10 minutes ago at least. And then there's a woman at the bottom right-hand corner who's shook. She's visibly quite upset by something.
# shock.
So yeah, I'm curious. And the hazard sign, yeah, that's just, I'm confused, but excited.
Have we seen anything else by Sarah Watt? Does anyone else know anything else she's done?
Trivia, she's the wife of the lead actor in this film.
William McGuinness?
Or at least at the time she was.
Yes.
So whilst directing him.
She passed away in 2011.
Oh, gosh.
I believe.
Whoa.
Yeah. In pretty sad circumstances, I think, some sort of cancer it was. I did a little bit of research. And a week or so ago, I heard William McGuinness on the radio talking about the situation and his 2 children and things like that. Because he just released a book, something to do with fatherhood. I can't remember the title, but yeah.
Sweet.
It was quite a bittersweet interview. It was nice.
I must say as well, when watching the blooper reel, not blooper reel, behind the scenes, was really my first look into movie making and understanding, I don't know, acting. I'll explain that a bit later once you've watched it.
Okay.
But it taught me a lot of good things about filmmaking.
My memories of William McGuinness as an actor is from Blue Heelers. Does anyone else remember Blue Heelers?
Yes.
The cop show, the country cops doing country cop
I'm
things.
familiar with the name.
John Woods was the chief of the police or whatever at the time. The sergeant, maybe.
Was he tough but fair?
He was the fatherly figure. Yeah, and Tasman, somebody else was in there. I always forget the name. And Lisa McCune, I think, was in that as well. So, you know, they've all got a bit of Aussie TV pedigree. I'm sure there's a lot of that. I'm looking forward to this one. I think there's a lot of positive press about it out there. I mean, it's the highest rated we've seen. I think it's going to be good. It's not one I've never heard of before. So, yeah. let's bring that one on.
Right.
To follow that up, we have Takeaway from 2003, directed by Mark Gracie, starring Vince Colosimo, Stephen Curry, Rose Byrne, and Nathan Phillips. This one has an IMDb rating of 5.7 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes audience rating of 57%. So right in the middle there, which is pretty much what we're used to really on Swedish Yahoos. Harry, I'll get you to read the back of the box for me.
All right, what do we got here? Okay, so on the back we've got a little blurb from moviehole.net, a website I don't know. Do you know? No, that might be worth checking. Moviehole.
Do they still exist?
Moviehole.net. It's like something from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah.
Remember Matt Damon's character is like some... Anyways. Minimum chips, maximum laughs. Well-formed comedy with plenty of laughs, plenty of spirit, and a castle-like climax that'll have you cheering in the aisles. Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds alright.
Can I just speak my disdain at the reference to the castle in every Australian, offbeat Australian comedies?
Yes.
I really feel like that's a thing because that castle is like our standard.
It's the benchmark.
Yeah, which I don't really understand. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad film, but you know, the Australian comedy has many.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, but
Well, I mean, because it's got Stephen Curry in as well, especially because there's,
Okay.
you know, that's, you know, it's the link.
Yeah.
too legit to quit.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, Grease is the word, revenge is the dish. From the co-creator of such hit comedies as The Crack, Totally Full Frontal, and Walks Out of Work. Have you seen any of those?
The Crack I've seen a long time ago. That's the Jim Owen joint.
with the beer.
Yeah.
What about Walks Out of Work?
No, I've never seen that.
Comes a comedy that's a chip off the old block. Should I read the whole thing?
Yes, please.
Tony and Trev are chalk and cheese, fast food foes and bitter enemies until the last battered salve. What's a battered salve?
Like a battered sausage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Salve is sausage?
Oh, as in that, is it a hot dog or a sausage?
So
I think
you
it's
asked me
a hot
vegetarian.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a vegetarian, but I've been to enough cheap and nasty country shows to know it's a hot dog sausage
Battered
thing.
salve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There you
You're
go.
a battered salve.
I don't know, is that an insult?
Or batter
or a
your
compliment?
salve.
Darling.
Are we talking batter or batter? You know what I mean? We putting stuff on or we hitting stuff?
What if we put stuff on and then we hit her up?
Oh, that's battered. Cool. Anyway, continue. That was a reasonable question. Thank you.
Their rival takeaway shops are worlds apart but 2 doors away. Then one day, something bigger than both of them lands in their neighborhood. A brand spanking new Bergie's burger chain.
Burgies.
Bergie's burger.
Reach deep down into the
Sounds-
creative bag for that one.
Bergie's.
That sounds really enticing. Like, I'd love to go to something called Burgie's.
Get a burger.
Bergie's.
Get a
Yeah,
burger.
burger at Burgie's. Like, it just sounds like floor scrapings.
Bergie's.
Burgie's.
Oh, no, thank
It's like
you.
how I used to name all my pets, like my lizard was named Lizzie.
This is Bergie.
Bergie's.
I remember my friends had a dog called Deefa.
Deefa?
Deefa.
Deefa dog.
Deeper.
That's cute
kinda
and
cool,
clever.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that went further than Bergie.
Yeah.
Bergie's. Now it's war on the fish and chip shop floor as Tony and Trev must bury the hatchet to fry the big guys.
That's a fun
That's
test.
good.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
That's rich.
Yeah.
With an awesome cast including Vince Colosimo from Latana and The Wog Boy, Stephen Curry from The Castle, The Nugget, Rose Byrne.
There's a
Two
big hole in the
There's
case.
a big hole in the case there. Yeah, someone's stabbed this case.
I
love this movie. 2 hands and hot newcomer Nathan Phillips from Australian Rules. This is one comedy that proves revenge is a dish best served deep fried and with a side order of nuggets.
Cinematic nuggets, guys.
This is undeniably the best blurb we have had yet. That is a high quality blurb. The movie may not have great reviews, but I rate that blurb.
I feel like I've seen this movie, like not this movie, but I feel like I've seen this movie. You know what
yeah.
I mean? The warring tuck shops seems to be a thing in Australian cinema.
I think it's that archetype of, you know, like enemies must band together to defeat a greater enemy, and then they will become
Starbucks or
super duper best friends forever.
Right.
I feel it's a
Pretty sure that's exactly what it's going to be. I
Yeah.
did watch a trailer for this one, and that is the basic premise of it. As they put out. I looked up Mark Gracie as well, the director of this, and he directed some episodes of the Jim Owen Show and the Leno and Woodley Show. Both the classic comedies. I don't know if you've seen them, Harry.
Which ones were that?
Lena Woodley and Jimon.
No.
Okay, yeah. Have you seen them, Julia? Do you remember them?
Yes, I was a big fan of Lena Woodley for a very long time, and secretly in my heart there is still a little spot for him.
Oh yeah, they really had a reunion tour last
Yes.
year, and it was great. I'm a fan of that sort of slapstick style. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be that. I have hopes that there'll be some funny moments in there. There'll be a little bit of that Aussie comedy, deep fried. You know.
With a side order of nugs.
Most important. Your thoughts, Toast?
Just a memory. This is from the 2000s, right?
2003.
Yeah, 13-year-old me remembers Nathan Phillips being very much on the cover of Dolly and being very much the thing for all the teenage girls. So I'm interested in seeing... I'm curious to know where he's gone to now. I can see his blonde tips, so I feel the 2000s like deep inside me right now. Curious to know where they go with this and where they go with his hair. I can see someone on the back of this cover wearing a big chip costume.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that moment. So yeah, that's my last words on it.
I mean, so far it's fully male cast. Do we expect...
Rose Byrne?
Sorry, Rose Byrne.
Sorry, Rose Byrne.
What role do you think she'll play in there?
She'll play, probably a shit one because she's been, I don't know.
A love interest or...
Hopefully, I'm feeling Manic Pixie Dream Girl because if you've seen the socks and the shoes and the little bands on the wrists, she's like, this is.
Yeah.
If this isn't male gaze, I'll be like mind blown.
Well, yeah, I'm not expecting high rankings in the Bechdel test on this one.
Yeah. I don't think she's going to talk to another woman because I haven't seen another woman in the pictures. Oh, yep, there's an old lady, but she's talking to a man, so probably about other men. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out.
We will. Look, she's gazing off, thinking about pixie stuff.
Yeah.
How can I save this
How
man?
can she can solve every man's problems
Yeah.
just through her whimsical
Beauty and
outlook?
green socks.
Yeah. Well, next question is, what do we want to watch first?
Can I just point something out about the takeaway box that I noticed before we move
Please
on?
do, yeah.
This takeaway box, if you open it up, the inside cover, remember chapters from DVD?
Yeah.
The chapters are actually like a whiteboard from a
In
fish and chip shop, a
That's beautiful. In chalkboard with
and it says today's specials, and that's the chapters,
That's amazing, and
which I like.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's a good detail.
Like that touch?
Yeah, that's a good touch.
Just
Now,
so-
here's the question. If you pop that DVD out, is there a oil ring?
is there
below
a
it?
burger or something?
Yeah. Oh, sad.
And
There is
missed-
not for the
Missed
box.
opportunity,
Yeah.
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 I was expecting, what are they called down here? A potato cake? Potato scallop?
Potato cake, yeah.
It's potato
Potato
scallop
cake.
where I'm from.
Okay.
scallop.
Yeah.
People don't understand us. That's some fish. No, it's fucking not. It's potato cake.
Yeah, don't lie to me.
Well, look,
Cake is sweet.
this podcast is not tolerated.
Just-
Located to just Victoria. So hey, we can be universal with our descriptions of foodstuffs. Are you tossing them behind your
Bigger
back?
hand.
Before we get to the stage of actually picking these, so as a woman who kind of left a very small remote part of Australia and got out and got to places where I could actually go and see live music when these films were out, I am very excited for some nostalgic soundtracks.
Yeah.
I am very excited. I am hoping for the kinds of things that will almost make me feel shameful regret.
2003, yeah.
Smell the
2003,
vodka, just swelling back
2005.
up.
I mean, I was in uni at these stages when Toasty was in high school, primary school. Oh, you delicate flower of youth. I'll just wilt over here. So I am really excited to listen to some music and maybe have a few nostalgia moments where I might tune out and think about terrible nights in awful clothing.
It wasn't awful clothing, though. It was fun, vibrant, happy-go-lucky clothing.
Yes.
You weren't wearing low-rise.
He wasn't a
super
goth.
flares.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember them.
What about
I have friends who were
Jane
wearing
Co?
them.
The big pants. I think I was 13, so probably high school.
Justin.
I feel
Just
like
in.
J & Co was like the late 90s, so that's when we had tensile jeans.
I had big pants. They were Jane Co. Bat.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we going to watch first? I feel like...
I'm going to say takeaway.
Takeaway
I'm
first?
voting takeaway.
I was going to say look both
Me
ways
too.
first.
No,
I
I
was thinking takeaway first.
I was going to look both ways.
Let's split decision.
You should probably pick.
Why takeaway first?
Why look both ways
I mean,
first?
yeah.
Why
why?
look? Well, I just
No. See, I like that you're just an impartial adjudicator. Like, which way do you want to go?
Yeah,
We should look
there's a
both
good
ways.
reason.
Negative
I could come
psychology.
around,
I think
or I
that-
could maybe bring you around.
I feel like it's easier to end on a lighter note.
It's not too.
I think
yeah.
they're both going to be light. Like I don't know if you can weigh in because you've already seen Look Both Ways, so you can't really comment on
It's
that.
not like the
I
dirges
think-
we've watched previously. No.
I think,
It's a love story.
looking at just the way that it's been reviewed, if we go with the lower one first, we might end on a high note, given that historically we have had issues maintaining attention when something is terribly dull.
I agree with this. I think the takeaway might be more of the slog, as it were.
So let's watch that first.
But that's where my logic comes in of like, I'd rather watch the good one first so I'm energized, whereas if I'm like dead and I don't have the energy to properly
share my chocolate with you.
Can you pass me the cases, please?
You should pick a side.
Well, let's look at lengths. Let's see if we can find some length details. This one is 85 minutes.
And this one
That's
is
takeaway. Takeaway's
16
85.
by 9 and I'm kidding. Hold up. Yeah, just wait. Yeah, okay, I can't.
It's not a thing, is it?
100 minutes.
Okay, so this one's definitely shorter. Takeaway is shorter.
Okay, watch takeaway first.
Takeaway first?
I'm hungry now. Because I was thinking full of chips.
All right, well, let's switch the mic off, put the takeaway on, and you can eat some popcorn.
Love it.
Done.
Peace.
Let's watch the movies then.
Right.
Yeah, bruv.
All right.
All right, we're back from watching the two movies we had today, Takeaway and Look Both Ways. The first one we watched was Takeaway. So, Julia, can you give us a bit of a synopsis of what happened in Takeaway?
So, Takeaway was a singular story of two chaps who each owned takeaway businesses, one styling himself as a small to middle business owner of a professional style, and the other fellow delightfully bogan, both playing to very stereotypical roles, almost racial stereotypes, where we have one Italian and one Australian, and both of them playing to those kind of middle Australia roles from the period that it was made, and their combined efforts to take down the multinational chain in the same industry as them, which is a takeaway food, thus the title Burgies, which I cannot find any redeeming features of Burgies, I'm sorry.
Their fries are apparently good and addictive, according to the tow truck driver.
Ken, yes. What was the line? I think they put drugs in there.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
So, of course, Stephen Curry was the typical Australian, and Vince Cosmo played Trev was his name, right?
Sorry, we've got Trev and Tony.
Tony was the
Was
Italian.
Vince Cosmo, yeah.
I mean, he was never explicitly said he was Italian, I don't think.
He did say, I'm an Italian. He did specifically mention, I'm an Italian, like something Italian businessman or something like that. Like, it wasn't just a trope. It was definitely I'm Italian. And I think, what was the surname? Was it given?
No, Tony and Trev, mate.
Yeah, Tony and Trev. I think it was provided in film. There was something, or in the credits or something, and it was one of those typically Italian surnames.
Yeah, fair enough. He was obviously very clean cut and
he was a particular,
well presented. Particular, that's a good one.
Particular man.
Yeah, took pride in his small fish and chip shop, as opposed to Trev, who was
A fucking mess.
a man. Loops around the
It was
edges,
a mess.
Lesbian.
smoking over the
In his jocks.
yeah, over the fryer, waking up with a beer and a porno next to him. And,
Yeah.
That was Spliff, I think.
yeah,
I think you'll find he was an innovator.
innovative with his.
Courageous storage options for potatoes.
He put them in his jocks.
That's right. I forgot about that. And also his creative cooking. His dim sum on a stick.
And beef nuggets.
Beef nuggets.
Nuggets, yeah.
Worldwide.
Has anyone else ever had beef nuggets? Has anyone seen them on a menu before?
Vegetarian.
yeah,
There's two vegetarians here. We are exempt from
That's true.
this part of the
I'm
conversation.
sure I've seen them on a
That's how
menu.
you get tapeworms.
Beef nuggets.
I reckon I have. Like, you could get like a chunk of beef, like batted and just like, yeah.
I guess that's what's in dim sum? Part beef, part pork.
I have looked this up before. I always forget. There's a lot of cabbage. I think it might be pork.
Nondescript protein.
Nondescript.
Nondescript animal protein.
Yeah.
You know, but
8%.
I don't mind a dim sum every now and then. What about the South Melbourne dim sums? You know, they're quite renowned for being delicious.
Are they delicious though?
Yeah, I think they're pretty
These
tasty.
motherfuckers great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they put drugs in there.
Yeah.
Dim sum.
It's all the hormones in the animals that makes them addictive.
Yeah. So we had those two obviously rivals, businesses that a few shops away. their dads worked together, and then they've had a falling out over pineapple on a
10-cent
hamburger.
pineapple, whether it should be included in the lot or if it should
paid
cost
for.
10 cent.
Yeah.
His father would be turning in his grave if he could see what was happening.
What has his father got to do with this?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Uncle Nick and Trev's dad were friends. They used to be in business together.
Sonia, mind your own business.
Look! That's Uncle Nick with Trev's dad, isn't it?
Yeah.
They used to run a fish and chip shop together, didn't they?
Yeah, next door where the butcher is now. Did quite well.
So what happened?
I don't know.
Oh, you must. What started as one fish and chip shop ended as two fish and chip shops.
Sonia, this is none of your business.
Oh, come on, Tony. Just tell me what it was about.
Pineapple.
Pineapple?
Big Trev reckoned that a hamburger with the lot meant the usual plus egg, bacon and pineapple. My dad reckoned that pineapple, like beetroot, was an added extra. And that the customer should pay 10 cents more.
So your dad and Trev's dad had the falling out over a 10-cent piece of pineapple.
It seems so trivial.
Really did.
And that was the point of the movies, that these two people are dickheads.
Yeah, this deep-rooted conflict relied entirely on the argument over whether or not pineapple as an addition should be included or as an optional extra that costs 10 bloody cents.
Well, I mean, that wasn't integral to the film. It was a MacGuffin. It was, not... It could have been anything. It could have been whether you prefer steamed or fried dim sims, or you crinkle cut your chips or not.
Yeah.
But why is pineapple always the argument? Because these days we have the whole should pineapple be on pizza thing.
Well, I guess it's like
like-
coriander. It's just some people prefer it one way.
People
or
are
the other.
divided like avocado.
Yeah, maybe.
Bastards. Yeah.
So we had obviously those two. Then we had they both hired assistant store managers or something on the same day for whatever reason. Tony had his cousin,
Yes, his cousin.
who was Rose Byrne,
Yes.
and Trev had, I can't remember.
John.
Was it
I
John?
think it was John.
I think it was Dave.
John or Dave, I don't know.
Because I had to look that
He
up.
was obviously meaningless to me.
But I can't remember the relationship there, or how they knew each other. Does anyone else?
High school, they went to
No,
high
he went to
school.
Joblink and found him outside
So-
Joblink.
Trev went to Joblink to find Dave, but Dave and, was it Sophie? What was her name?
Yeah, Sophie, yeah.
Sophie?
No, sorry, Sonia.
Sonia.
No, there was one point where Tony had asked somehow about Dave's mum, and then
Yeah.
the shop
his-
owner A said, "Oh, she's really sick," and that was a lie that was pre-existing
Yeah.
when they picked up Dave from Joblink.
Yeah.
So there was some knowledge of Dave pre-Joblink.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joblink,
I
right.
don't know what
Link.
that was.
No, I couldn't. I missed that part, but yeah,
Yeah.
there was something
That's
there. Either way,
quick.
doesn't seem important.
I was probably focusing on popcorn. But so Dave and Sonia knew each other from high school. It all seemed very.
Yeah. There was a moment there where I was like, this is a bit funny, and then it was just shit.
Well, there were some funny moments. I think we all had a chuckle.
there were moments
Some
where
points.
Overarching.
I
Yeah.
guffawed, absolutely. Like there were moments of actual genuine joy and humour in it. And I mean, what was the word? And we all got very excited and nostalgic. Spin out.
Spin out.
Oh.
Rooted.
Yeah. So yeah, they were there. Burgers were building next to them, or they planned to build there, and so they ended up having to get together to try and fight this, which is basically the synopsis on the back of the box. It was,
It's a David and Goliath.
yeah. Like the build up to that point was good. I think we all agreed on that.
I think so.
I felt like it was very short.
Yeah, it was short, but then there was this big middle section, sort of the second third of the film, I felt, where they were taking their case to Burgess to try and argue for what they wanted. That it just slowed down, the pacing got way off.
Yeah.
Got a bit lost.
Yeah.
They did set the scene well. Like that first third, as you said, they established exactly what the conflict was and, banded together. Like I feel like that first third was quite active. And then, the second third was a drag with no real plot developments or kind of interest. I think we waned a little bit going, okay, well,
so.
this is
Yeah.
twiddly.
For a sub 90-minute film, it really did drag those last few bits. So just to rush to the end, because there's some other things to discuss about this film. In the end, their big conclusion, or their big thing to deal with Burgies, was to tow the store away, like physically use a tow truck to tow, or they're going to pull it down, but they ended up towing it to a tip. Which is a really poor conclusion, I think.
Going to jail for 3 years.
Yeah, and they resolved their issues and had built a store together and while they were in prison for 3 years, and then we ended on a prison rape joke,
Yeah.
which was didn't really land. I mean, like as we said, the first third was great, I think, and the rest just kind of suffered. I mean,
Yeah.
we all agree on that. I
I think so.
Yeah.
I like the setup.
Yeah.
Like I like the problem. I like the mom and pop shops fighting like a multinational burger shop. So I was kind of excited. And then it just kind of petered out and died, and the conclusion was just like so disappointing.
Yeah.
They definitely had a premise, but not a good script, I think. A good
Good idea, poorly executed.
Yeah, and no, I like when he woke up in the morning and he was just a total, mess. What was his name, Trev and stuff. I liked the details.
It's like flashbacks to death in Brunswick.
Yeah,
The contrast between their morning routines was brilliant and really spoke to their characters. You can see that Tony is a meticulous, well-kept individual with very particular routines, and this is what he does every morning. And then Trev kind of rolls out of bed from under his Vegemite blanket and scratches his nuts and lights a ciggy and fucks off, And it really speaks to who they are. And having those two kind of scenes spliced together was really interesting and helped place them at the same timing. Like they're going through the same actions at the same time, but in their own respective ways that is really characteristic to them.
We forgot the opener.
Oh yeah.
The history of fish and chips.
Tell us more.
Takeaway.
Of takeaway and fish and chips. Takeaway fish and chips.
yeah.
So there's like we weren't sure if it was a trailer for another movie at first, or I wasn't sure. I don't know if so this man walks into an old inn, like maybe in the 1700s or 1800s, from a storm, and requests to have the fresh caught fish and some chippy potatoes. Is that what it's called?
Something like that.
Chippy spuds or something like that.
Yeah,
But there's no seats for him, and he gets really like
arced up.
totally arced up. It's a spin out for him. He's like, you know what? I don't want a seat at this stupid pub. Take this newspaper, wrap my fish and chips in the newspaper, and I'll take it away. And they're all like, you want to take the food away? Yes, take it away. And he's kind of like, he knows it's ridiculous, but it's gone too far. He can't. Doesn't want to back down. He's like an ego. And then the fish and chips comes wrapped in the newspaper, and he has a chip, and it's awesome. And he loves it. And they also tied the history of the dim sim in there.
Yeah.
He was like, what's this fried rat, fried mouse in my chips? And they were like, it's an Eastern delight, a delicacy, a dim sim.
Innkeeper. Oh, what fare can you offer a hungry traveller on this most unsavoury of evenings,
Well, sir, I can offer you an excellent mutton pie and carrots, and there's some corned beef and cabbage, and finally some fish, what I caught down the bay this very morning, served atop a bed of chippered fried potatoes.
Oh, splendid. I think I will dine upon the fish. Oh, show me to my table and bring me a jug of ale, innkeeper.
There be no tables, sir. My inn is full.
No room, say? Oh, sir, I think you need to broaden your thinking. Sir, hand me your gazette. Innkeeper, I put it to you that you cook my serve of fish and chippered potatoes, and that you then wrap them tightly in this paper, so that I may take my evening repast from this place of misery and consume them contentedly elsewhere.
So, sir wishes to take the food away?
Take away? Yes, indeed. Take away.
A splendid idea.
Here be your takeaway, sir.
Innkeeper? What treachery is this? You have deigned to serve me a mouse fried in axle grease? I will have you hide for insolence, innkeeper!
That be no mouse, sir. That be a delicacy from the Far East. They call them dim sims.
It's delicious. It is delicious.
I want one. Me too. I'll take half a dozen. Can you steam one for me?
Have you got any soy sauce?
You better check the traps.
It was a great setup for the rest of the film. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Start good, end. Yeah.
The music overall.
Better.
Oh,
Julie, I think you enjoyed it.
I loved it. I think when Apollo 440 and 28 Days Say What started playing, I think we all kind of had our hearts aflutter.
I have not heard that song probably since 2003.
Are we
been
talking?
about 15
I don't want to
years.
go up, but I don't want to go out.
Yeah.
Take me away. Who was it by again? Was it Killing Heidi? No.
No. So Say What? I'm lazy. I like to get.
Oh, I'm lazy. I like to get
different song,
hornier. Like a monkey, something.
Yeah, that's pretty fancy, yeah.
Yeah, monkey horny.
That sort of skate, rock and rap sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
With a little
yeah.
bit of electro from Apollo 440.
Yeah. Does it make sense to know?
We had the Mavises as well in there, which
Yes.
was good. Killing Heidi.
Lash.
Yes.
Lash.
And some Happy Land.
Lash. Right.
Which is a fine combo.
Fucking A.
You know, that's the greatest things about these old films, I think.
And I think really strong Australian music from that era as well, which I'm not very good at the movies, you all know that, but I am particularly fond of music. So that was my happy place.
It was great. Sorry, you go.
I'm going to be real. I feel like I really didn't like Takeaway that much, and I didn't think it was just, great film, but I actually liked the soundtrack better than the second film we watched, which I love very much and would watch again over and over, and I think is fantastic.
Great.
I think it suited it more. The other soundtrack wasn't bad. I just think it was, when music interrupts a film,
Yeah.
as opposed to complements it. So I think in the second film, which I think is like Oscar-worthy type shit, that it didn't complement it, whereas I think in Takeaway the music complemented it. So that's the one star that I'm going to give the film.
True. It matched its style quite
Yeah.
well. There was a bit of an ensemble cast of Australian sort of film regulars like Dave O'Neill, Francis Greenslade, who was the guy in the opening scene, the tavern owner.
Rose Byrne.
Yeah. John Howard as the head of the
Big
Burgies
Burgies.
change, like a CEO. And Peter, I think it's Rosethorn, who was one of the Burgies characters, like the hamburger guy. You see him, like you see him around in a lot of things. He's got the sticky out ears.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a regular you see around.
The really young guy who was learning burgers.
No. He was.
'Cause he's regular.
He was the
too.
one who dressed up as the Burgie's
Right.
burger, whatever. Other than that, I think the other thing we discussed in the intro was Rose Byrne and her role, or the females in this film. Now, there was literally maybe two sort of female speaking roles. One was Rose Byrne and one was the old lady with the cat.
Yeah,
they did okay. Like, they weren't, like, she obviously, there was half of Rose Byrne's role was about her relationship with Dave, the assistant manager in Trev Store, but the other half was like she was coming up with great ideas and
Yeah, it was about her being an activist and a passionate woman who wanted to speak her piece and make a difference. And it's not something that you normally see, or at least not what we expected to see based on the cover, where we're like, oh, it's a man between Pixie Go again.
Yeah.
But it was like, she was smart and all, but there weren't any, like, all of the character actors, the buddy, what was his name? The buddy with the trailer, Ken, like they're all dudes. It's all dudes. So it's like there's no women in Alphington, except if they're hot or old.
It was obviously male dominated,
It could be both.
but at the very least, Rose Byrne, Sonia, I think it was your character's name, had something to say.
Panache.
Some panache, yeah.
Yeah, she had some pizzazz.
Yeah.
Some gumption.
It's probably the best we could have hoped for, really.
Yes. Thin.
And we did also comment on the fashion of the time, which was quite a piece for us, especially Toasty and I, thinking back to thick belts and
oh my god,
low rise anything.
The earrings, the square earrings. Oh, you just feel it in your soul. The 2000s-ness of it all.
After we finish recording, I might go and dress up.
Yeah, I'm going to wear some platforms and some boob tubes and a bit of an arm warmer just to really set it off.
That arm warmer and boob tube combo.
I love a low ride jean, man. I'm all about the midriff.
That's probably enough about Takeaway.
Yeah.
Let's talk about...
Ending on that note.
Look
all
Both
about
Ways.
midriff.
Toasty, can you tell us about Look Both Ways, please?
Well, look both ways is what you should do on the train tracks. We've learned this much. Look both... Yeah.
Got it.
The pin drop.
Ding, 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 ding. Which is the sound the alarm makes when the train comes. Anyway, so I'm never good at this, and I never know why you asked me to do it, because most of the time I'm just like, there were two men, they were in a fucking desert. That's what we watched. This is what I'm like with this.
Give it a go.
Well, yeah. There was a dude, there's a lady, and they met during a sad circumstance in which a man was hit by a train and his wife was there, and it was sad. And then there's some side characters with some emotional stories, and they kind of meet each other, and she's having some trauma, and then they fall in love, and he's got cancer.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that a spoiler? Do you want to cut that out?
No. I mean, there are spoilers in this podcast. I think that's been established, and I'll make sure I make notes in any details, so people know what to expect.
I'd say that this is so that's the basics of it, is that it's a love story surrounded by death and the fear of death and the spectre of death. Definitely. But it's also she's an artist, she paints, and the scenes are interspersed with like these shocking cut scenes of watercolor sort of intrusive thought death scenes, and it's her sort of inner workings, and he's also experiencing being diagnosed with cancer, and there's a lot of beautiful collages of like time. I think the movie is about time and mortality, really. And I just think it's really beautifully filmed. It feels like a photograph, really. But yeah, that's my synopsis.
It was beautiful. You're right, it was beautiful. But there were a few more characters. The side characters, I think, are important as well to discuss.
Oh, definitely. We had an Indigenous woman too, which is...
Yeah, so you had... Nick, the main character, was a journalist, basically opened him having cancer. We discovered he's got testicular cancer.
Details.
Yeah, details. All about the details.
I don't remember that shit.
Myrtle was the artist who was just coming home from seeing...
I thought it was Meryl Lee.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Meryl
Lee down the stream.
Meryl, yeah.
My mistake.
And he doesn't have a song.
Meryl.
I was thinking knick-knack, paddywhack. That's what I would have said.
Oh, that would have been really
Knick-knack.
cute. I think
Knick-knack and
I don't
Meryl
know.
Lee.
I don't know what you do in your normal time, Harry, but I think it's time to change to scriptwriting. Oh, thank goodness.
For cereal commercials specifically.
She was coming home from her dad's funeral, who died a couple of weeks ago. Then we had the editor at the newspaper that Nick worked at, played by Andrew Gilbert. I can't remember the character's name. I don't know if people know.
Philip?
Might have been
Philip Freeman or something similar was on the nameplate on the door.
Good memory.
Bro.
We had the writer as well, the journalist writer whose name I didn't get either.
Was that Matt or Andy? It was Matt or Andy. Was it Andy Matthews or Matt something?
Matthew Andy.
He was obsessed but very interested about suicide and the effects on men and things like that.
He was
going through a lot of stuff with his wife.
He was.
Everything about that fellow was negative.
It's a good character,
defeatist, and it's honest.
Andy, can you do art story for me this week? What's this?
Do you know how many supposedly accidental deaths last year could have been suicides? Over 100 in this state. Do you know how many of those were men? 76%.
Art diary.
Do you know how many of those were doing art diary at the time of their accident?
Please go to the things this time because I find it lifts the tone of the pieces slightly if the writer has some glimmer of knowledge.
Then we had the train driver who had struck the husband walking onto the tracks, who was...
Husband of...
Yeah, the husband of the other lady.
Yeah, there were two people that sort of lived near the train tracks.
Yeah, but the train driver was obviously struck by the suicide quite harshly.
Was it a suicide?
Well, sorry.
Or did he trip?
Struck by the death.
Yeah, we don't know the death.
We don't know.
I guess so, yep. His son also was...
The son of the train driver.
Yeah. Was hard to pin down. Like, he was like a punk kid, whether he was estranged from his father, goth even, estranged from his father, and that was a linking moment for them, I think, was ultimately the story there.
His dad got emo.
He's quite a moment standing there in the rain with the red umbrella.
Yeah, it was really
his
beautiful.
Eye makeup and like the studded bracelet thing.
And his uncharacteristically colourful striped shirt.
I liked how complex it was. It wasn't just scenes of a dad abusing their kid for being a fag or excuse the F word, but that's what you often see in Australian cinema, especially when guys are a bit goth and stuff. The dads are just really terrible and abusive and homophobic, say pansy and all that. Instead, he was just like, kind of, his kid was a bit estranged and then they understood something together, and so I thought it was a really beautiful portrayal, especially of goth kids. Normally it's just like, you're a shame on your family.
Black stain.
Whereas they were supporting each other.
Then there was the nurse who had slept with the journalist Andy. I will just call him Andy because I don't know any other name.
The sad men's rights dude.
And had become pregnant to him and was trying to sort of sort out what to do about that.
Her options,
yeah, because he
was a little bit shit.
Yeah, he was obviously dealing with a lot of shit himself and was just angry at the world and those around him. He had kids from a previous marriage that had failed, and he was trying to be a semi-good dad, I guess. He wasn't a great dad.
Yeah. Dealing with his own depression.
Yeah.
And projecting a lot.
So, I mean, there was a lot going on and a lot to sort of take in, but I think it was presented in such a great way that I never felt lost by it.
Yeah.
You know, everything was really... You could follow each story. And you talked about the cuts, Toasty, of...
water collages.
Yeah, so she would often catastrophize about things like being hit by a train or being swallowed by a shark or being attacked by a man or things like that, and then being presented with this animated watercolor image. And it was, you instantly knew that it was in her mind, I think.
Yeah.
And Nick would have similar sort of thoughts about his cancer.
But they were collages.
And they were, collages of picture.
And he's a photographer and she's a painter.
Yeah, so that was how they expressed their own fears around their own mortality, was through their own art. So where she was doing watercolour images of her own passing through bizarre catastrophes that could befall her, regardless of how improbable. Well, I mean, there were some water-related ones, but I mean, there was...
The ones she was actually painting, though, were water.
Yeah, so she painted waterscapes mostly and seabirds.
Yeah.
But, she also had ones where, like, a sinkhole opened up and then the ground swallowed her from, like, a crack and, things like that. So it wasn't just water. And then he being a photojournalist specifically, because he was the photographer who accompanied the journalist, he more focused on real images or photographs of things related to his cancer. So headlines from stories or pictures of tumours or people suffering in hospital from these things, as well as some CGI generated images around what we think, or at least at that time what we thought happened within the body of cancer sufferers.
Yeah, at least the stuff he was getting online, reading and putting out articles and whatnot. I think it was quite a effective trick, cinematographic trick.
What were your thoughts on the film?
The film Looked Both Ways.
Yeah.
That's a broad question.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I did like it. Yeah. There are things about it I really liked. What did I like about it? It seemed real. I think you mentioned a few times while we were watching it. There's a lot of scenes that you could feel the person's pain. Didn't seem like it had been made to be glittery.
Yeah. Nothing was glossed over. It was very honest.
It was honest, yeah. Which I liked. It was good.
Sweet.
All the characters seem real and relatable, I think, as well.
And complicated and things are kind of fucked up for them sometimes. And
definitely.
They were all flawed individuals, which I think is important when having a film like this where you're displaying, everyone actually, all of the characters were in turmoil. I cannot think of a single character who was like, everything is great. Hooray. Yeah. Everyone was in a different state of pain or suffering for a different reason. And I think that that's important to portray, because it's not always one big conflict, i.e. the David versus Goliath. You have multiple people all loosely connected who are all facing their own challenges.
It didn't feel like a sad film or it was quite...
It felt uplifting and
hopeful.
hopeful.
Engaging, you kind of wanted to see where it was going. I was constantly engaged.
And I love the ending bit when it's just like he goes through the cancer and then there's this sort of collage of their future together, but it's like it's not necessarily the end or it's sad or you don't know kind of what happens, but it's like life. It felt like watching life,
Yeah, it was like life.
Yeah.
And some of the problems that were presented were kind of just weird, and there is no good way to when he gets cross. I'll say he and her because I don't like Nick and Meryl.
Yeah.
They get in a fight because he says I can't get into something. She says why, and he says I have cancer, and then she says, oh, you're dumping me because you have cancer. Shouldn't I be dumping you because you have cancer? And it was kind of how does that work if someone's in a starting relationship and you find out? I thought that was well portrayed.
So he says, I'm sorry, I don't know what I've been doing this weekend. Sorry.
Sorry? You're giving me the flick, aren't you?
Well, no. It's just that I can't really start anything.
I met you on Friday. We slept together on Saturday. Took me to meet your mother on Sunday, and then you can't start anything. That's the tightest little relationship I've ever had. Oh, bugger this. And if you think I'm upset because you don't want to see me, well, how dare you? Maybe I was going to say thanks, but no bloody thanks. But I don't need to spend my whole weekend and my whole life being polite to people like you. That's the only thing stopping me. It's a goddamn bloody politeness hostage bloody gene. And personally, I can't wait till they isolate that gene and breed it out so I can tell people like you to piss off! Maybe I don't like you, or what you do. I don't need your stupid photos to keep reminding me of all the shit in the world. I know it's awful. It scares me stupid. It scares everybody too stupid to do anything. My dad died 2 weeks ago. Why isn't my picture on the front of the paper? Why isn't everybody who loses somebody on the front bloody page? So what if I wanted you to like me? Why is that such a crime? What if it is shallow and stupid to be lonely and want somebody to like you?
I'm not in a position to start anything right now. Because I've just found out I've got cancer.
What? Oh, what kind of a line is that? Cancer? You're dumping me because you've got cancer. Shouldn't I be dumping you if you've got cancer?
I felt like they were leading into a trope in that moment but extremely well acted in that moment when they had the fight. But I thought like they could easily lead into that whole Romeo and Juliet. One thing wasn't said and then the other one leaves with the wrong assumption. And they did he did say, look, it's because I've got cancer, not just let her go off and then spend days wallowing about it, which I think was really good writing.
Yeah, definitely. There was some motifs in there. The birds, there's lots of pigeons flying around and flocks of pigeons and stuff.
What do pigeons represent, Justin?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to work out.
I don't know if it was necessarily about them being pigeons, because we also saw, one particularly nice image of a willy wagtail on a fence.
Well, the birds in general.
Yeah, the birds in general. And I do love murmuration in birds. Like, it is one of those things I could watch endlessly. And
What's
I feel like
murmuration?
that's where a bird, like a flock of birds will all fly together and they move like...
It's called a murmuration?
A murmuration.
Yeah, like a...
Great.
Fucking A.
Thank you. Yeah.
Word fact.
Flocking A.
Flocking Oh, that was beautiful. Yeah, my brother. No, I was going to say something about that, which I'd forgotten because that was super rad. It's gone.
No, so I really love birds. And there were lots of birds in the beginning and then they disappeared. And my bird love was unsated.
In English class theory, because a lot of her fear related to drowning, at least that she was painting physically, not the interspersed cutscenes, the birds represented freedom and the water represented fear and drowning in fear.
Right.
That's where she wanted to be, but where she was down there.
Right, so that was her, like exactly what you said, where she wanted to be.
Metaphors.
Yeah. I mean, there was...
Rich in metaphors.
I mean, the rain at the end there sort of wash away everything.
It's a cleansing.
The cleansing, maybe a little cliche, but, it worked, I think.
And I think there was also, the shift between, the kids... I can't remember his name. It's Matt or Mandy's kids. Like playing by the fountain and him being quite stressed out about it, to after the rain, the three children jumping in the puddle joyfully going, yay, we've got wet feet.
Was there anything you didn't like about this film?
Yes.
What?
I don't think that they tied off all the ends nicely. I feel like the Nick and Meryl story reached a happy ending, but I feel like they introduced so many different stories and not all of them were given as much attention as I would have liked.
Sure.
Like, I would have liked to know what decision Anna made, regards to the pregnancy. Did she end up going to London, as she said that she and her housemate had bought tickets to do? I would have liked to know all of the conclusions to the story. Did the journalist step up as a parent? Did he, to his existing children with his ex-wife, did they form a stronger bond? Did the editor really give up smoking? How did things go with his daughter after that? Like, he got her a cricket bat for a present and she was very happy, but then was their relationship better? I feel like there were a lot of loose ends, and yes, we got one very nice, succinct package of the love story between Nick and Meryl, but there were
From
so
the
many
train
other
driver.
things that happened.
I liked
that I feel were unresolved and I am unsatisfied. It's not that I didn't enjoy the movie, it's just it was lacking.
Well, I liked the unresolvedness because I thought it was moments in life. Not everything gets tied off perfectly. And the bit at the end, the bit where the dad with the curly hair, forgotten his name, sorry for the podcast.
Phil,
Insert it here, Phil.
Yeah.
Editing. Phil. He'd been having these sort of maybe a bit of estrangement, unsure about quitting smoking, a little bit unsure of his place. And then there's a bit where he's at his daughter's party. She gets a present, she kisses him on the cheek and he smiles, and it's sort of like, I feel like this hopefulness. I feel like they weren't saying like, we're not going to figure it out, but we're going to be hopeful, and I feel like the bit where at the end with the nurse, whose name was
Anna, I can get it.
Anna.
Okay.
He comes to her window and it's not like, it's all resolved, but I think they all ended in the same way. Like the photographs at the end for the main two couple, Meryl and Nick, it was sort of like, we don't know that it all was perfect, but they went travelling and there's hope. And the other ones, he was waiting outside of a window, he wants to try, hope, not sure it's perfect. So I felt like, and the same with the other guy, he's trying and his daughter loves him, there's hope, it's not perfect. That's what I felt like the message was. But I feel you. And I do feel like that maybe they gave it more attention, it would have been good.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, they were the main two characters of the story. I just don't feel that they were wrapped up as tidily or with as much energy or effort.
Care,
and care is the right word. It was kind of a careless ending, like, he's at a window. Done.
Too legit.
Just thought of a bit of an important... So it was always the drawings were fears, and at the end their little happy ending was photographs of them together rather than drawings.
Yeah,
of them
good
together.
observation. They didn't incorporate both of their mediums into that.
No, you're right.
Just curious. Maybe that's because it was his experience of cancer that,
But she was there painting or drawing.
She was painting in the photographs.
Yeah, that's true.
But there wasn't. Yeah, still.
Relatively quickly, the music. You were going to say something about the music there, Toasty?
Yeah, I feel like it was just like both the music and the film were good, but they weren't the shoes that matched.
Right.
And they were maybe just they were too strong. Like the images in the film were very strong and the music was often really, maybe not saccharine, but like a little bit saccharine. And I felt like it was just a little bit overbearing. Some subtlety in the music would have been good.
Yeah.
Because the subtlety in the film was great.
Even just cutting the scenes a little bit shorter, like they seem to play the track out almost. And
while she forlornly looks at a painting.
Really long music montages.
Yeah.
And you could almost hear the music coming up. You're like, here we go again.
I think that when the Waves and Xavier Rudd started playing, we were like, okay, it's this song by this person because we've heard 3 seconds of it, and then we're going to listen to the whole thing.
It was like a Spotify playlist, but versus a curated, it was like a random playlist of music.
And
at
I
that
think
time.
the volume of the music and the choice of songs didn't accurately reflect the mood of what was on the screen. I think maybe for the party scene, having Xavier Rudd to let me be, was
appropriate.
I mean, that was the kind of movie you might sit around, drink wine, and talk shit with friends. But I mean,
there was so much singing
Lighthouse
and guitar.
during a love song. I'm like,
There's a lot of singing.
This we're just playing through TV speakers here. I don't have the best sound system set up, so maybe it would have been different in the cinema, and the cinema mix might have been different, but that's fine. Yes.
And not to hate on the person who did the sound, I think maybe there were some good choices, but there were also some choices that we didn't feel fit. Yeah.
Right. Fair enough. So finally, would we recommend Takeaway to anybody? Toasty.
I would not. My jump is to say no, absolutely not, because most of the other movies I've seen that are sort of like this, I'd just say no. But there is a beauty to Vince Colosimo. I think he's a real star. I like Vince Colosimo. They were all good individually, and I think all of the people who played the parts were very good. I would say if you weren't taking it, I'd say watch the first half. That's what I'd say.
Julia, takeaway.
Would you take it away? What are your takeaways?
I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it to someone as a form of entertainment. I think as a nostalgic trip down, suburban Melbourne, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there were some really beautiful pictures of, was it AMC bowling and Alphington and just some of those things that are very Melbourne, tiled corner store strips.
Yeah, definitely.
Very, and a Met card sticker.
But I feel like you could just Google some images and save yourself the time.
You could, but then you'd miss Vince Colosimo from his net.
I do miss the nostalgia of this corner store. I miss I feel that.
Would you recommend?
I would recommend. Yeah, as you said, it's a great little time capsule. And at 83 minutes, you're not exactly like I wasn't wishing I could have my time back.
Sure.
Yeah, true.
At all, you know, it was yeah. I'd recommend check it out.
I don't know if I'd recommend this to anybody. It wasn't a terrible watch. The first half was decent. It's just I think there's probably better Australian comedies out there that would be you can spend your time on.
Like the Backyard Cricket won the cup. I'm kidding. That's a lie.
That is true. I disagree with their statement that Takeaway is the same calibre as The Castle. That is absolutely untrue.
It does not hold a candle. Long time since I've seen The Castle. I don't think we'll watch it for this podcast because it is so well known. But maybe I'll give it another watch in my own time just to sort of bring myself up to speed on it.
I mean, Look Both Ways did win every single award that's possible. So.
Would you recommend that to people, Toasty?
Look Both Ways?
Yeah.
Fucking yeah, I have for years. Recommended it. I've watched it. I've loved it. I've written essays on it. Definitely into this vibe and would recommend wholeheartedly. And William McInnes and Justine Clark and the lady, I looked her up in her name. What was her name? Give me 1 second.
While you're doing that?
Lisa Flanagan.
Oh.
Totally legit, amazing work.
Who's
Love
she
it.
playing it?
She played the Anna?
The nurse.
Yes.
Right, great. Julia, would you recommend Look Both Ways?
Probably not, actually. I mean, yes, it won a lot of awards. Yes, it's a great story. Did I enjoy it as a story? No, not really.
Okay.
Cool. It was beautiful. It was a work of art, absolutely. Was it a good story? No.
Right. Harry?
I'd recommend it.
Divided.
Yeah. It definitely looks both ways.
Yeah.
It brings up some issues that I think are poignant still.
Yeah.
Good ones.
I think I would recommend this too. I really enjoyed it. I think it's probably one of the better films I've watched so far on the podcast.
Yeah. Fully.
It's got that. It reminded me of. Is it Gingerbine? Is that the?
I love Gingerbine.
With who's in that?
Dude, the guy with the accent, Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington, yeah. It's kind of got that vibe to it. It's kind
Or
of.
is it Somersault?
Somersault. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah, Somersault. Every day of every week, Somersault.
Yeah. Like it's got kind of that same sort of character-driven story. With some serious emotions and some conflicts and stuff.
And good directing. You can tell, like Somersault, the director, the details, you know, colour was a big motif. Like, you can tell they give a shit.
Definitely, yeah. I enjoyed this, I think. I think that's it. So thank you all for joining me for this podcast. Thank you, Toasty.
Bye, everyone.
Julia.
Bye.
And Harry.
Thanks.
And I will
Thanks, guys.
see you next time. I'm not sure what we'll watch next time, but we've got a shelf of stuff, so we'll get around to it.
Oh, yeah. No, it's the chair. Toasty. You know that.
Serious Yahoos is recorded at Fancy Goods, the noisiest studio in Melbourne. Theme music is Joker by Six Umbrellas via the Free Music Archive. All other samples have been used under fair use laws and belong to their respective copyright holders. Any questions or comments, please contact us at seriousyahoos@gmail.com.